And welcome to another episode of All Aware. I am Nathan Roshawn, and tonight we're going to meet back up with Alisa Saoni, UFO contactee, spiritual awakened soul who has a lot of knowledge to share when it comes to just an outlook on different things relating to, you know, how we've come about, aliens, spiritual topics and her experience. Last time we had her on, she was going into her personal experiences and her enlightening awakening that happened. And she was getting into something that physically happened to her in her house regarding something in her yard that kind of launched the whole situation, her awakening and what happened thereafter. So we're going to get into that tonight with her. We're going to also have my co-host who is over there at the Night Watch channel, Echo Hotel. It's going to be on the program too. So this is a longer episode again, so I'm not going to waste much time. Let's go ahead and get right into it. So here we go.
Dim lights flicker in the studio glow. Voices echo where the mystics flow. Spirits whisper in digital air. Tune in now if you dare. Aliens talk through untold night. Conspiracies hidden from blinking sight. Secrets murmur like an old affair. Dive in deep if you care. Is it time you became all aware? Unlock the truth if you really dare. With HB, let your mind declare the mysteries we share.
Well, guys, welcome back. And we have a special guest here today. This is our second episode with Alisa Saoni. And we left off on our last episode somewhere around, when was our last episode?
That's
Month.
about 2.5 months ago.
It's
Yeah.
it's been
Yeah.
some time, yeah, maybe a little bit more. So we're glad to have her back. Echo is co-hosting, and Elisa is there as well. And we're going to continue on because we had some good discussions, and you guys had some questions and stuff regarding some of the stuff we were talking about. We were talking about, if I remember right, Elisa's story about how she awakened to some realities and some spiritual truths that. That wasn't known prior to this experience she had. And we were getting into some physical things that had happened. So I guess I'll just start it off there, Lisa, if you want to kind of talk about, I think you were saying you had some experience in your backyard at your
I
house.
knew you were going to say that.
Hey, before we go to the backyard,
Okay.
Yeah.
because I don't want to miss anything. I re-listened to the episode today, the first one, just to make sure.
Mhm.
And when we left off, we were talking about trade routes from Mars to Earth and the Anunnaki and what else? Oh, the gold.
Mhm.
And I think that's pretty much where we left off. I don't know if there's any gaps in between that and the backyard, but I just wanted to make sure we didn't miss anything.
Well, we can cover those things, but hello, my brothers and sisters. I want to take the opportunity before we start talking about these topics. Everybody's been wondering where I've been. Where are you? Where you been? Well, to make a long story short, my brothers and sisters, I had to get a job in order to save my home. So, because there's nobody else that pays my bills but me. So that's where I've been. I've been very, very busy. but all is well. Everything's good. So I just want to let you know as an update, why I haven't done any shows here lately, and haven't even been able to write a whole lot of songs. I still do write a few, but I've been busy working. So, and thank you, my brothers and sisters, for your patience. And I am glad to be here this evening with Ed and Nathan to have a great discussion. So.
Well, your music is awesome, and the stuff you send us, I really love it. So I'm glad you still had time to work on that and get that done.
Yeah, so you received that one inauguration day whenever Trump got inaugurated. I felt all of that wonderful energy. Everybody was so excited. It was like, it's finally here, it's finally happening. And I wrote a great song called Magic in the Air.
That's
It's about
right.
all of our prayers finally being answered. And I think it's really good. It's a girl rock. It's a really good song. So
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll put it in the link of this video so that everybody can check it out. So
awesome.
Yeah, maybe we'll play it during the break too, so that
okay,
people can
yeah,
get
there you
a
go.
little
Yeah.
bit of taste of it, and then they can go to the link for the full thing.
I know, and I am man because I told you guys I was sitting there thinking about you guys, and I was like, okay, we need to do this stuff like this, and it's all just started coming to me about I am man. I'm like, these guys will love that. So
Yeah, that
I'm
was
glad I
great
was sending
too.
it to you.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, I heard that one too. Did you get that one, Echo?
Yeah, yeah, she sent to both of us. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I loved it.
yeah, it's for all my brothers out there. Wear your crown. No. So where you want to start off at, gentlemen? Where would you like to start off at?
Well, Echo, you had mentioned you had just listened to the last episode, and there were
Uh,
some leeways there that you wanted to start with. What was it? The gold, was it?
Yeah, the trade routes between Mars and Earth and the Anunnaki and the gold.
okay.
They used it in their atmosphere.
Hmm.
And I think that's pretty much where we left off. We
Okay.
were talking about building seven and a few other things, but I think that those were just side notes.
Well, we were discussing pretty much how this all came about with the Anunnaki getting involved with Earth and stuff like this here, and it is because they needed gold to put into their atmosphere. Their atmosphere is very cloudy. You cannot see out to the stars and stuff like we can all over here because they have a very thick atmosphere, and it's because it's a volcanic planet. Now, I don't know about all of you, but that sounds like Vulcan. You know, so, and it is, a lot of descriptions of it and the way it looks, it sounds like they're describing Vulcan, from Star Trek. But it's not like it's overwhelming, but there's enough of them. They're constantly brewing. And the reason why they're brewing is because of a tidal effect that causes the planet to stretch, go in and outwards like this here. Because it comes between this star and their star, and to where they're placed out on their star, it causes a lot of pull on that. So, and it causes it to, just like a planet, growing and having lava everywhere. Gaia does it too, and that's also because she pulls and tugs. Okay, and it causes these here types of eruptions all over. Well, they have a lot more of it, and it causes their atmosphere to be very thick. So for them to have the safe environment that they need to have that cloud because that's what they, you know, um, progressed in upwards, evolved in that kind of atmosphere. So whenever there's gapes and holes in it, like you've heard them call here about having a hole in the atmosphere, well, they have a hole in theirs and they needed to cover it. And the only thing they can do, or what they said they can do, was use gold to fill the gaps. Okay, and that would reflect it to where it would come in without it being harmful. And their scientists assured that it would work. Enlil got into a fight with, oh my goodness, I forgot his name.
It wouldn't have been like Inky or anybody like that,
No,
would it?
Inky's on a pretty much kind of like the same level as Enlil. It's like their father. I cannot remember his name, so please forgive me, my brothers and sisters. I can't remember his name. But he lost a fight because he wanted to reign. He wanted to take the chair. Okay, he wanted to be king, and he lost the battle, and therefore he pretty much ran before they excommunicated him, and he left. And whenever he left, he got through what they would consider a danger zone, which is the ice belt, and that would be our um, What is it called, guys?
Uh, would
I'm
it
having
be
some brain farts here. Or astro
or
belt.
okay.
Okay. All right. But and it's a lot of frozen gigantic pieces and stuff like this here. Well, nobody had really been past that. Like I said, whenever they were coming back in off of their 3,600-year orbit, that's whenever they discovered that these planets were here now. Okay. Saturn, Uranus, Venus, I mean Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune and Jupiter. Okay. But they couldn't get past that point because it was very destructive on that astral belt. So they pretty much didn't do it. They didn't come through that, but they can see that it existed. Well, Enlil end up being the one that's going to break that barrier because he's trying to run from them. And he wants to prove that there is something across that astral belt that he can get in there and it could benefit them with gold. Okay. And sure enough, whenever he finally broke through it, because nobody's been able to survive getting through it, he discovers, Earth, and he actually lands on Earth. And whenever he lands here, he does, surveying and all this kind of good stuff, and he finds out that it has gold. Okay, and it is breathable, but the light is different. They have to wear shields and stuff like this here because the light is so bright. Because remember, their planet is cloudy. Okay, very, very cloudy. And so he discovers this, he contacts them and lets them know that he has discovered this. And then Enlil had to come here to see what he was talking about. Sure enough, he was telling the truth. Okay, well, now we can save our world. We're going to give you a pass right now, even though you're the bad guy. We're going to give you a pass because you found this for us. And then the father sent Enki here to pretty much to be the dominant of the earth. Enlil didn't like that because Enlil says, I found it. I discovered it. I'm the one who's saving our world. I'm the one who did this. And it's like, no, it didn't matter because you still did a wrong thing. And therefore, he wanted to give Enki reign over everything. And because of another dispute, they finally settled, and Enki got the majority, and Enlil, got a smaller part to rule over. Now, that would be going down to the character of like Hades. He would be the bad guy, the darker brother. Okay. And Enki would be the more Zeus crowd. Okay, the good guys kind of thing. And excuse me.
Did they were there what was their life here on the planet when this all happened, or was humanity here?
There was because whenever I was telling you that Earth used to belong to Saturn,
That's right.
okay, okay, because Saturn was a star. Well, the people on that planet were called Terrians. Okay, that's where she got her name, Terra. Okay,
That's right. Okay.
that's right. Terra, Mara, and Vina are the three girls. Okay, and but whenever they came here, the Terrians were here. Now they considered them to be far back in evolution because they didn't use um, any kind of computers, any kind of advanced technology like that. These people were very spiritual. They could move things with their mind and so forth. Okay, they were all spirituality. Okay. And but they just like, well, they must be dumb because they don't use technology, so to speak. And but they figured, okay, well, we can't bring all of these guys here first, but let's take the people of this land and use them for slaves. Well, at first it was like a good kind of conversation, we're going to help you. We're going to, the people, Tyrians was thinking these are the gods. They'd never seen nothing like this before in their life. So
Right.
therefore they was like worship them in a way because they were the gods. And then over time they decided, well, we need your people to work with us and we'll teach you this, that, and the other thing. So they pretty much got into people agreeing to work with them without them knowing that they were going to be slaves as of yet. So now the people are working with them. They start seeing the real true colors of, no, this is brutal. You're hurting and killing and causing a lot of problems with our people. They revolted. And then they said, well, you're too small and puny anyway because they're like 20 and 30 footers, and we're only like 8, 9, 10 footers. Okay. So what they did was that's whenever Niharsag, she was a geneticist scientist, come into play. And she took the DNA of them and the DNA of the Terrians and she mixed it. Okay. And that's
Hmm.
what made the hybrids as we know them now, the Rothschilds,
Hmm.
stuff like that there. Okay. And they also have blue blood. We have, the humans have red blood. the blue bloods. That's why they're called blue bloods, is because
That's a
they're
true
blue.
statement then, huh? Yeah, it's a
Mhm.
real thing, huh?
It's a real thing, yeah. And they go to special hospitals and special places. They don't never go to a public hospital or anything like that.
Hmm.
Okay. And but that created the slave race and bigger slave race that can work for them and do all of this gold mining, okay, because they were bigger and stronger and so forth. So now the ones that they made slaves got to be the top dogs to the regularitarians. So that was like a chain of them again. These are the big guys and middle guys, and then we were at the bottom. Okay, the Tyrians was at the bottom. But even the slave race ended up revolting because they thought it wasn't right that that they couldn't go back home, or they weren't allowed to go back to Nibiru because they were hybrids, and hybrids weren't allowed on the planet. Okay, they were like forbidden. It was a law that they made. You have to stay there on Earth. Okay, and they didn't like that. They felt like they were being, done wrong. So another revolt came about, and then finally they said, okay, well, we're going to take you back home, and then we're going to go ahead and just use the humans. And some of the hybrids actually stayed with the humans because they understood that this was going to be a bad. It's going to be bad on them.
Hmm.
So, but the ones that stayed are the ones that fell prey to falling in love with the female women. Okay.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Yep.
Okay. And those are the ones that derive out of these other second hybrids that were these, I want to say they're giants and all the different types of things, it was just horrible because the the hybrids were perfectly put together by a scientist, a geneticist, okay? And then whenever you just go out and you want to mix with something other, you can't because even one of the laws was that you could not the Terrians only can mix with the Terrians, and the hybrids can only mix with the hybrids, and the Anunnakis can only mix with the Anunnaki. It was rule law. You couldn't do it. So then the hybrids broke that law by having sex with the females, and therefore then they were condemned by the Anunnaki because they broke the rules. They didn't want that there to happen because it caused more catastrophic things to come about. Okay,
Hmm.
so and so now they're going to punish them. So what do you think that slave race is going to do? They're going to revolt. You're not going to just come down and do this to us. We're going to revolt, and then it caused another war, and the Anunnaki won that war, and the ones who did survive from the slave hybrid ones was the ones who were forced to be here to help pretty much rule certain areas, not rule it but control it. It's like they would be the foreman. Okay, to make sure things got done. But yeah, all of this was about gold to get it back to their planet so that they could put it in the atmosphere. Now, if this here, I do think that that's true, okay? But this stuff happened, close to 500,000 years ago. Well, if they've been stripping the Earth of gold all this time, don't you think she'd be a strychnine?
Hmm. Right.
Right? So therefore, it can't be just gold. They could have found that in asteroids, right? Which they
Yeah.
probably have. So now, why is Earth so important? Because the people have become a commodity, okay? Slaves,
Yeah.
genetics, and stuff like that there. So now it's a new thing for them, but no more. We don't have to worry about that no more, but that's what it was. So yeah.
It was a farm for
Yeah.
biological
Uh-huh.
entities or beings
Mhm.
so they could use them. I see.
Yeah, but
That's why
not
they call
just
it.
us, because like I said, there's the three rings, right? There's the inner ring, the outer ring, and then the dome ring itself, right? And I told you that out there at the end of it, that's the land of the giants. Okay, and then you come closer, then you got the Tartarians, and then you come inwards, and then you got us. Okay, so that's like three rings of slaves that they had. Giants, if they needed giants, technological, which was the Tartarians, very advanced stuff, and then the cows, sheep, us, you
Hmm.
know. So
Hey, there's pictures of people with giants that keep popping up on the internet these days, and you never know if it's real or fake or what it is. But I've always wondered about those.
it's real, and it definitely excites the mind to think about something like that. I mean, I have a nephew that's 7'2". Okay, to me
Mhm.
that's pretty tall, you know.
Wow.
And to think that there's like 15 and 20 footers and some of them are 40 foot, that blows the mind.
Well, there's some
Like,
huge
Hmm.
doors. I think it's over in Europe where these doors are just massive.
mm,
And why would they build these huge doors?
yeah, because somebody was tall getting through there.
Yeah.
I mean, that just common sense, but when you think about these giants and then the size of us, how it's really scaling us down, and then you think about things that are smaller than us and how we must look like a giant to them, the things
Right.
that actually were here, the gnomes and the dwarves, the fairies and all this kind of good stuff, we must have seemed like we were just giants to these characters as well. So it all just keeps going down smaller and smaller and smaller. So I think that's pretty cool too. um, but it's
Yeah.
actually cold over here. I find it cold, gentlemen.
Well, it's warm out here. The winds are blowing and they're blowing off the desert, so it's been pretty warm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this Antarctica stuff that happened recently, it's been a couple of years now, but it's still stuff still going on, and there's whistleblowers and stuff saying that there's things under the ice and things like that. And I just saw something, I think it was on 4chan. I was reading um I don't know, what do you like, a chain of communication with an anonymous person, and there's no way to know if this is real, but I think some of it is at least. But he was talking to another anonymous person on there, and the guy mentioned he was a some kind of a researcher. Or he was somehow connected with a department or an agency of the government that is actively doing things up there. And he mentioned about these egg pods, and he said he couldn't say everything, but they've located these egg pods, and there was a being inside of the egg pod,
hmm
and they woke it up,
hmm
and it started speaking to them. He said it was telepathic, but it also was not. He said some people picked it up immediately telepathic that was in this team, and then other people they were like, "What are you talking about? I don't hear any voice." And he said the voice sounded a lot like your own, but it wasn't you. Like when you have a dialogue, if you're saying, "Oh, I wonder what's over there," to yourself or whatever. That's what it sounds like. But I guess this being, it sounded to me like, after the descriptions of all this, as like a tall white, or like a Nordic white, which is a race that, if you study any kind of this alien stuff, and different races and stuff, is one of the races. So I just wanted to kind of ask you, do you know, does any of this sound familiar, like something that exists? And uh, what do you think about what he discovered with this egg pod and this being in there? That apparently, by the way, I forgot to tell you, is was said he was over 700 years old, but he looked like he was 35.
Sounds a
Yeah.
lot like the movie Cocoon
That's
in
what I
the
was going to
80s.
say. That was disclosure right there on those
Yeah.
types of pods. So not only like in the movie Cocoon, they found them at the bottom of the ocean, which is very, very true. They found some there too, but they have also found those pods inside of caves, or and inside of these here, what would be like relics of old constructions, of things that once were old. People would say that they came from the master builders, the race that was here before even the Anunnaki. Apparently,
Yeah.
whoever seeded this here section of the solar system, or the galaxy, should I say.
Hmm.
But yeah, those are real. I mean, and even in the movie Cocoon, whenever they opened one, they were talking about their friend had been in there for thousands of years, you
Yeah.
know. And so, I mean, if you can think about it, this dude saying that he was, 700 years, but he looked like 35, that absolutely, I believe that, because I do know that these things can sustain you. It's like a cocoon, like a stasis chamber,
Yeah.
if need
That's what
be.
it sounded like.
Right. So, I mean, I think that is very, very true, because every race would have something similar to what you would think is a stasis chamber, or maybe an evacuation pod,
Right. Okay.
and then it just lands and hits the bottom of the ocean, but they're safe, you know,
Yeah.
until
Until
somebody
somebody.
can find them.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Wow. Yeah. Apparently, there's more of them too. Wherever he was or whatever cave this was, there's multiple, but this was the only one that they were able to wake the being up and get some communication at this point from. So that was just 2 or 3 days ago that I think it was on the 21st
Uh-huh.
of January that was an active conversation going on one of the back channels there. So some of that stuff
Yeah.
is for
Yeah.
fun, but it sounded like this one was he was serious.
Yeah. Well, I know that whenever the Anunnaki had come back here with their ship down to Antarctica, it awoken the stasis chambers that were there. One of the stasis chambers actually had like a 40-footer in it. Okay. And he's kind of like, I want to say a reddish color. Okay. And his hair is more of it was like a golden brown. I guess is a good way to describe it. Okay. But whenever, just like the arts, whenever whoever's supposed to be a part of it, whenever they get closer to it, it activates it. Well, these here ships activated these here stasis chambers, pretty much all over the world, not just in Antarctica. But the one that was in Antarctica was a very special one because its job was to protect that area. That's what its job was. Okay. And whenever it got activated and this giant man, um, whenever he found out that everything that's happened since he was put into that stasis chamber, okay, everything that's happened up until now, and realized that we are inside of the photon belt. Everything would have been okay if he'd been woken up before we got into the photon belt. He could have done something to deter it or make it different. But because we're in the photon belt, his only thought was, karma. And all that created that, all of those hybrids and stuff that's here, the Rothschilds, everything else, they would have to pay for that karma because they are the ones that created it.
Mm.
Okay. So this big dude's like, you need to fix this shit because we're not going down like that. Okay. It's not they know what it means to go into the photon belt and to that light and know that they can't come outside of the dome because of all of this negativity, right? So they're responsible for that negativity. So God's going to hold them accountable for it because what is it? In Star Trek, it's the it's the law where you can't mess with the planet.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah,
I'm drawing a brain.
Prime directive. The
Yes, the
prime
Prime
directive.
Directive.
right.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, they tinkered with the prime directive and they weren't supposed to do that. Okay. So therefore, that even makes God holds them accountable for that because they weren't supposed to come down here and be messing with the genetics. They can come down here and socialize, be a part of it, whatever, but they weren't allowed to be messing with the genetics. Okay.
yeah, forcing
And
against the will of the people.
right.
Yeah,
So, and but this gentleman is like, you remember when all of these here government heads, our country heads came to Antarctica?
yeah, yeah. I was just
That was after this dude woke up. And all of them were brought there and told, fix this shit. I don't care how you do it, but we're not going down like this here. He's willing to help us. He's willing to, make things right and do everything that he can because he's not really that bad guy, but he also knows that he has his own karma because he was involved in it. Well, here's your chance to make it right with God,
that's right.
you know? And therefore he is helping and he told that's the reason for all of these government people come down to Antarctica is because they were given that ultimatum.
Well,
Now, what
wasn't
what year was that?
That was in 26. No, that was before Trump got into office, 2015.
yeah, I think it wasn't too soon. Yeah, I think it was 2015 or 2016.
Mm,
But wasn't there was an astronaut, was it which astronaut went up there and he
I think
got
it was
sick.
Buzz. Was it
I
Buzz?
thought it was Buzz Aldrin, but I didn't want to misspeak. But yeah, he got sick and then had to leave. And then I just was looking up this yesterday too when I was reading that weird chain of messages, and it
hmm
said he made a statement. Buzz made a statement. Finally, when somebody said, well, what happened? He actually had some kind of heart condition up there. He was so stressed, he had like a heart attack kind of deal up
hmm
there. And they said, well, what happened? He said, well, the only thing I can really tell you is that what happened was we did some stuff and we came upon something that we should have never done. And that's what he said.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that kind of backs that up a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, because they knew that these here stasis chambers were going to be woken up at a certain time. Okay, it's kind of like time capsules. Okay, and the military and everybody else who's come across this stuff, they couldn't do anything. They couldn't open it, couldn't do nothing. And they knew this dude existed. They knew these people existed, and they could not open it or tinker with because we don't have enough technology to do something like that, right? So, but whenever their ships came in here that could do that is whenever they awoken. And you can imagine that these little military people had to be scared shitless to see these dudes come out of a stasis chamber and talk and walk and stuff like this here.
Oh
So
yeah,
you
yeah,
know. So, and they are very serious. And you ain't going to tell, this giant and a whole armada that's here to help us that no, we're not going to do that. Everybody's been complying. It's taken a while to get this plan, this ultimate plan in the making. But look where we're at now. Everything is just blowing up with wonderful news. All kinds of amazing
Hmm.
things that are happening and taking place. And I do know that it's derived from, that kind of moment when they all went down there and they were given the ultimatum and they were willing to sacrifice their own to replace them with the ones that we need to be in there with, or copies of them, bad and good. Okay. They were willing to sacrifice their own. A lot of these here, Anunnaki or these, the 1% here, they don't mind sacrificing their own, trying to deter it. Don't look at me, look at that. It's not me, it's
yep,
them,
yep.
kind of ordeal. But now it's like they're sacrificing their owns because they want to get this stuff cleaned up. They want it to. Now, they can't just go out and kill their dudes, I don't think, but it's more like, well, if you die because I'm helping the good guys now, then it's okay, so to speak.
So
So,
there's been a lot of saving their own asses, should we say, where they've switched to
hmm
they've taken the deal to start doing good in the world. So is that why, in your opinion, we see some of these political actors that seem to be flipping now all of a sudden and starting to say the things that, we've always wanted it to be true and things and dropped all the BS and the manipulation
hmm
tactics, especially more recently within the past week or so.
hmm And then you got the drones and the orbs and all this kind of good stuff. They know that this is serious. So yeah, it's like you're going to still have your, few minions that's going to fight till the very, very, very end. But the majority of them, I mean, think about it. If you were blackmailed or put into a position or whatever, and you finally got a chance to get it right to where you can get all that taken care of, I think the majority would take that. Yes, I'm willing to help because they tricked me or they did this or whatever the circumstances may be. Other than, I don't like to hear, well, I was just doing my job. No, no, I'm sorry. That doesn't go. Military guys down, boots on the ground, I understand that. But those ones that up there in control, no. Don't tell me you were just doing your job because you had a choice you know. So, and now it's a chance for everybody to make it right. And it seems to be happening. It seems like the whole world is working together, and it's all been ever since I seen November 5th and that red wave go across everything. I could feel that energy. Everybody was like-minded. Everybody was on the same page, and that's what we needed to show God. And then whenever, they said he won, I felt that. Everybody was going, yeah, thank God. Yeah. Everybody was on the same page. And that's the kind of energy that we needed to make everything that's happening right now be happening. Because God
Hmm.
said we took a quantum jump whenever that happened because all of us was had that same energy at the same time, and that
Yeah.
catapulted us. And God told me that 2025 was going to be our catapult, and that's exactly what it is showing. And I'm just so so proud to be a part of it. So.
Well, yeah, I agree. I look at as part of how I take in the world. I majored in sociology and criminology, and I'm kind of an empathic guy. So, um, I look at energies and I look at body language and things like that. And I can say, even though there are some stuff that, like you said, there are things still going on that are counter to what's for the best of humanity. When the new year happened and specifically January 20th happened, as I've gone out, I think I was telling you guys before we went live, I went to dinner and things like that. The atmosphere and everywhere is different.
Hmm.
Prior to that, at the end of last year, in October, November, December, you would go anywhere, you could feel this chaotic, this tensed up,
Tension.
just yes, tension everywhere you go,
Hmm.
and it's gone. I was
Yeah.
just out today at a restaurant before we went live. The atmosphere is completely different. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, Libertarian,
Hmm.
Green Party, no party, all parties.
Hmm.
Something has shifted, and it's beautiful. It's a great feeling, and I say that would still have a little bit of of discernment, right, with
Yeah.
things, but I it's quiet. Is that does that make sense? Like it's peaceful
Yeah.
inside, like you're
Inside.
in your person. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Echo, have you felt anything like that? I know you're kind of empathic a little bit too,
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
like at work or anything.
well, most of California, in my opinion, is are Trump supporters, even though they say California is blue, it's not. But yeah, ever since November 5th, it seems like the energy is definitely different. Like um, before that, and I'll use this as an analogy. People were the driving habits of people. People were
Exactly.
aggravated and running red lights and doing all kinds of stupid stuff. And it seems like people have just calmed down now. The driving habits aren't as bad um, since then. So yeah, I think people just feel a little bit more at ease. But to be honest, I don't trust it. I think it's it's going to be short-lived. Um, like we were talking about before, they went to Davos the day he was inaugurated, and they were talking about how to get around him and what to do to fix this.
Hmm.
And there were lip readers at Carter's funeral, and I think it was Obama who said, "How do we stop this, or how do we fix this?" So who knows? They're not going to just go quietly into that good night, um, in
Well,
my
well,
opinion.
no, no, they're not. But the war has been going on longer than most people
Realize. Yeah.
have realized, right? And
Yeah.
I saw that too. I also watched another hour episode last night of a CIA agent or ex-agent and some other guy. Uh, Sorry, I didn't know I was going to share this, so I would have made sure I had the names. But they they did the whole Carter funeral and all the interactions from everybody, and uh, yeah, they said that it appeared that Trump and Obama were getting along by all body language. It looked like they were, but there was still some like hesitations. There was maybe some unsureness between all the parties or whatever. And I didn't hear him say that though. I did hear what you're saying when they said that statement, but they didn't mention it on there when they were doing their lip reading. Uh, but I don't know. I mean, even if he did, if he said that, I mean,
Well, apparently Trump told, because yeah, he was sitting next to Obama. Apparently, he said we need to find a quiet place to talk today or sometime. And from the reports, and I know we're getting a little off
Obama
topic.
laughed. Obama
Yeah,
laughed. Yeah.
and I know we're getting a little off topic, but from the reports, um, they weren't going to go to Trump's inauguration, and I guess the law got laid down that said you will be there. So. Um, But who even knows if that's Trump, dude? JD Vance is 6'2" and Trump is 6'3", and during the inauguration, JD Vance was taller than Trump. I know we're a little off topic, but I don't I seriously don't trust any of this anymore.
Well, I can understand the doubts and stuff like that, because there's a lot of things going on that we don't understand, but we do know that Trump has had several assassination attempts. So it would make sense that they would, switch up the Trumps because you don't know. who's the real Trump? Real Trump, stand up.
Right.
So, I mean, that to me makes logical sense, especially whenever you know that there has been threats put upon him, and as of recent too, with the two of them, you know.
Hmm.
And so maybe that was just a precautionary thing. And so whenever you did the show with you and Nathan on the SG Anon thing, at towards the end of it, you were talking about, I think it was in 2016, whenever the signing of the inauguration, the dude was saying, you know, you signed this um, because um, because it's military control government. You
Oh
signed,
yeah,
That's
yeah.
yeah,
right.
remember
That was
that?
That's right.
yeah, that was
The capitulation tour? Is that
no,
what we're
no,
talking about?
no.
Oh,
Clinton signed it
oh,
under threat. The
Yeah.
you're talking about Nazara
Nasara,
Act?
yeah,
Yeah.
the Nasara Act. That yeah, I mean that nobody knows. We weren't there. Who knows? But apparently he signed it under gunpoint, and then Bush signed it, and then all of a sudden we had 9/11. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, there's a lot that we have to piece together and we're not going to understand and things like that. So I don't know either, man. But I do see what's happening. Like I said, there's two sides. There's some things I have discernment for, and then I'm seeing, and we're going to have misinformation. That hasn't stopped all of a sudden. So there's and I've noticed that a lot. I don't know if you've looked at your feeds on Facebook or whatever. They've changed, and a lot of the stuff is now at least on my feeds, it's the reverse of what I've always seen. It's trying to point out stuff, oh, Trump is bad, this is that, blah blah blah. So I don't know why that would be, because usually the algorithms show you what they know you want to watch because
Right.
you're going to tune into it and you're going to give them money because your time or whatever. So the reason why I'm seeing things that I care not to see, something.
Well,
Something's
it's
either
be like
going on.
a final death row, you know. They're going to try to put out as much as they can right here towards the end of it, you know.
There you go.
And
Yeah.
even with this inauguration, you know, the dude was telling Trump, you know, you're signing this, that, and the other thing, because until we get total control of the government. So, and it's like that was a good, well, wait a minute, they don't have total yet? No, I guess they do not. But this here opens the door for them to have total control. And that's what he's going for. Apparently, he's also going for abroad as well. Total
mhm.
control, you know, overall, and working together, you know, to make everybody a wealthy, healthy, you know, world, you know. I think it's just fantastic, all of this fun stuff. And
Yeah,
it's just, I've been excited. I really have. So,
can't come fast enough.
mm, I,
Yeah, the world control thing is the one thing that I also had a little bit of discernment and hesitation for because that's also the NWO plan. But the thing is, that I had to tell myself and remember is that, and maybe Alisa, you could probably say this with your experiences, but it's the plan is almost identical because evil, the devil, whatever you want to call it, it copies, it mocks. So if there's something good, it turns it evil,
mhm.
right? So and then there's just a little bit of differences. So that might be why so we just I guess we have to have discernment and okay, let's make sure the people are the ones that are going to be in power and controlling this new whatever our society becomes and not a specific idol or a person because uh then it would be no different. The goodness comes in when the people have all the power and control. If we start saying, okay, yeah, pass this law or this regulation, and it
Mm,
says only one specific person can do it or is in control of it, that's going down the same road we were going down. It's just a different idol, is it
right.
not?
Mhm.
I don't know. So
Well, that's what they're talking about, you know, going forward, you know, Trump will be the last president, you know. So you think about
that's right.
why would he be the last president? Because we're getting away from that and we're going to going towards more like a council, okay? That's more beneficial to all. And but yeah, there's a lot of people that's talking about it. Well, here we start, you know, this is supposed to be he's supposed to be the last president, just like there was a last pope, you know. There's supposed to be a last president as well. So, and that supposedly is this one. Now, that's all well and good. Do whatever you can, make it glory. So whenever, this here new type of comes in, we'll be ready for it. And I do think that Trump will let us know or something like this here if that was to happen. But as of right now, all we can do is just wait and see what happens because we have no guarantee on what is going to happen with that. But at least now we
Yeah.
have all of these other things that's coming at us with Trump's executive orders and so many things that's being done. That's definitely getting the ball rolling. It's like we were all holding our breath and it's finally, whew, thank goodness, just like you're saying, the tension is different. People are more relaxed. I mean, they're happier. They're more, braver to say, if one of these lefties or whatever say something, they have that more, screw you. I don't have to listen to you. They'll say what they want to say because they don't have to worry about holding their speech back anymore.
Right.
We've had enough of it. But for other than that, it's just the energy itself is really, really good. Everybody just seems to be in such a better state of mind. It's like, okay, he's in there. Let's get it done. Glory.
Yeah.
Hey, question real quick, because you mentioned Trump will be the last president. Um, Nathan and I have talked about this before, but have you ever seen or read those books from the 1800s where it was what Trump, the last president, and the Adventures of Baron Trump or something like
Marvelous Adventures of Baron Trump. Yep.
Trump,
yeah,
yeah.
that was
Now, I
were
haven't
written
read them,
or
but I do have like the cap on it. So yeah.
how do you predict something like that? I mean, how crazy is that they predict that someone predicted that 100 and what 50 years ago?
Well, because the time travel is real. You got people that actually came back here to help. All those that are 5D, 6D, 7D and above that came here to help. That's coming, you're coming into this time. So you time traveled from the future because you're a higher density being, means you came from the future. So, and they were going back in time to try to correct a lot of this stuff to make the timeline stable. Okay.
Mm.
But while they're back there, they drop in these little hints and this, that, and the other thing just setting up for now. Just like the bad guys set up a lot of things that we believe is true history right now. No, they just inserted it, back then, so that when we find it now, we make it think that, this is true in fact and all this kind of good stuff, and it's not. But then you get these little Easter eggs, if you want to call it, like the books you're talking about, that gives us a clue and the probability of our imagination saying that this could be very real, so we're open to time travel. Can this happen? Sure. Absolutely, it can. You
I've
know.
been open to that for God, my entire life. I love that.
Mhm.
I would love to be able
Yeah.
to go back and visit some times. Kind of drawn to the old West.
Oh
Well,
yeah, that
God
would be
told me that
great.
we're trying to catch up to ourselves.
I believe it.
Mm.
Okay, our future selves. We're trying to catch up to our future selves. Our future selves came back here. We came back here from our future selves to help fix this. And so now we're down in 3D and in 4D, and we're kind of like rushing to catch up to ourselves. And God's also said that there's so many different players on the field right now that whenever we do come across a lot of these extraterrestrials and stuff like this here, don't be shocked if you run into your 5 or 6 or 7th version of yourself, you know? And I'm like, I'm going to go shake her hand. That's all I got to do. I'm going to shake her hand. Thank you so much.
Wonder if
You
that's what
know,
happened with John Teeter.
what?
I was saying, I wonder if that's what happened with John Teeter
Yeah, could
from
be.
the 90s. Supposedly he came back and was living with his what was he living with his parents in Florida, and
Uh-huh.
he was when he was a child.
Oh, I don't remember that. I know John Teeter. He's the guy that came back in 2000, and he went on the Art Bell show and was
Yeah,
saying that he needed to recover a computer to bring to the future because well, I guess ironically that was the only computer that had a specific technology that they needed to
right.
keep going with something they were doing. And while he was here, he thought he'd help out a little bit and
Mhm.
correct some wrongs or whatever and do some stuff that way. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I don't remember if he lived with his family or what was
I,
going on
I
there.
I think he did. It was down in Florida, but it's been a while since I touched on that whole subject.
Well, I do have a question for Alisa and Echo if you want to chime in if you have one thought on it too, but we were just kind of talking about meeting our future selves and different dimensions that exist. You know, we know there's, you know, science proves there's at least 12, but um, with that, do you think, oh, the other part of that question was you have people like the one I can think of is David Wilcock, who looks a lot like a guy. Um, he lived in Virginia Beach. There's an institute named after him. Can't remember the name of the he.
Casey.
Yes, thank you. Yes, yes, thank you, Casey. So he's even stated kind of like he thinks he's maybe the reincarnated Ed Casey, and so when you said we came back to
Uh,
this dimension to help move us forward, are
mhm.
we reincarnating into ourselves every, you know, century or three or whatever? Is it like him where he kind of looks the same? Are we the same physical in every dimension? Do you know what I'm trying to ask here?
You mean are we the same entity in every dimension?
Yeah,
Every
like if you
world?
yeah, like if you reincarnate, Casey and David Wilcock look exactly the same. You know, I did some testing or whatever. They have these things you can do
Mhm.
now for fun online. It said back in the 1800s or the 1900s, I was a sheriff, and I looked exactly. It showed a picture of what I would have looked like. I was exactly the
Mhm.
same, just with huge beard and you know whatever. So maybe a different color or whatever, but the features were the same. So
Yeah.
what is that part of kind of what you're saying where we're catching up
Yeah,
and
you will have some similarities, especially if it's your future self, derives from your genetics off of this one. It definitely will have the similarities as it looks. Now, I guess you want to say there's two different ways because whenever Nathan was born, he went this way, and then the other Nathans went in all kinds of other different directions. Okay, all different kind of choices, and including the one that would be advancing itself to get to the future really, really fast.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. And so therefore, because we are going that route, that would make logical sense. That's the one that looks like you, perceives like you. I'm sure it looks different in some ways, but for the most part, it's you, and it's aware of you because it's that advanced and that knowledgeable. So yes, it can come back and shake your hand. It can talk to you, your other self. Now, as far as this version itself, yes, you can bump into that version of Nathan, 2050, Nathan 3015, whatever it is. You
gotcha.
have the option to do that. Whatever one was called back from this line. You succeeded because you wouldn't be here. You were sent back here as this character because it's from that line, that same Nathan, and because you knew that you can accomplish this task because you have all of that within you. All of the things that you need to get back to that point is within you. But that other
Hmm.
version of you still exists because you're occupying this space.
Hmm.
I know,
Wow.
trippy,
That's yeah,
right?
it is.
Because even through an evolution, you're going to go upwards, right? Especially if we live a good rightful life, I guess we just die of old age or whatever, it progresses on. So where does that person go on from that? Well, that version, I want to say it starts over from the next level, especially if they did everything right. So who's to say that they won't look the same? I could come back as this person's great, 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 great granddaughter,
Hmm.
you see, but it's still me.
Yeah.
So.
Hmm. I like that.
mm,
It's a good explanation for that.
Well, that's how our ancestors come back in and reincarnate, is so that they can fix things and do things right. Like, oh my God, you look just like your great, great, great granddaddy. You know?
Yep.
So it happens, yes, it does.
So I
I had
guess
to
yeah.
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say if you wanted to go back and talk a little bit about your story again, we wanted to get the rest of that. Maybe we
Okay.
should take a quick break and
Okay.
come back here in a few minutes and go back into Alisa Saoni's story of the the backyard, right?
Backyard.
That's where the
Okay.
story gets good. That's
Oh
what I'm
yeah.
looking forward to.
Light paints the sky at noon. and stories told. Rivers glow with lights of gold. Miracles are what we choose. Miracles are what we do. Love has changed our tune. We are one in all we do. Prayers heard loud and clear. What we want is finally here. Magic in the love we share. Hearts dance, yeah, everywhere. Every breath, a perfect prayer. We got magic in the air. Love has changed our tune. We are one in all we do. Prayers heard loud and clear. What we want is finally here. Magic in the love we share. Hearts dance, yeah, everywhere. Every breath, a perfect prayer. We got magic in the air. Stories of a life we hold. Our hearts like shining gold. God heard the call. Miracles for one and all. Magic in the love we share. Hearts dance, yeah, everywhere. Every breath, a perfect prayer. We got magic in the air. Prayers heard loud and clear. What we want is finally here. Miracles for you and me. Miracles inside this dream. Every breath, a perfect prayer. We are magic in the air. Miracles are
If you are a fan of this show, view other episodes and subscribe on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, X formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, and almost anywhere else you watch or listen to podcasts.
What's your take on that, Alisa? I mean, it's snow in Florida. What?
Well, it ain't the first time that's ever happened, but it is, good timing with, knowing the changes that are happening.
Mhm.
Mother Earth is fixing herself too in this, I call it a pus pocket because this is the infection what's underneath the dome. So everything's balancing itself out. And unfortunately, there is people that does get hurt in the process of that.
Yeah,
Or, it doesn't help whenever they're using HARP, you
Mhm.
know, it
that
doesn't
that's
help
what
at
I
all.
keep thinking. It's man-made.
Yeah, a lot of it is man-made. It's to cause destruction, to cause, people to die and have to suffer or to make money. Look what they did with which one? The one in Florida and then Helene going all the way up through North Carolina, stuff like that there. And now these fires out there in California,
Yeah.
you
Well, the
know?
fires are definitely man-made.
Yeah,
They showed all three fires sparked up at the same time, and
yeah.
then they had guys running around with blow torches and
Mhm. Like I
weird
said,
stuff.
that's like their last death blows. They
Yeah.
want to cause as much destruction as they can. Yeah.
What we're
Well, I know
talking
that
about.
when California's had fires before, it was because Congress denied them monies. Okay, and the only
Mhm.
way they can get monies is in an emergency situation like fires, earthquake, hurricanes, stuff like that there. So that's what they used to use before to get extra monies for their state.
Yeah.
And now it's like just destruction, because it's planned. Now I don't want to say just for their benefit, but it is because the fact that they know that they can get emergency help from the government because of it. So
Yeah,
because they were being denied it. So they should take
it
care of their own stuff. They've been given so much money and they didn't put it where it was supposed to go. And then look what happens. That's their own fault.
mhm.
Or should say the governments of California, not the people, not the people.
Yeah, it's crazy out here. How many fires are going on right now? And like we had talked about a little while ago, they're all around where I live, but I'm south of LA, so those aren't going to be a problem. But they keep popping up everywhere else in these high winds. I mean, today, just where I'm at, the gusts were probably about 80 miles an hour,
Wow.
and this is not
Right.
normal. We talked about this. I think we hit on this with SG a little bit. These winds are not normal. Usually, this happens in the fall, and so these winds are something harp or something's making them.
Well, don't they have a harp up there next to Alaska or something?
Yeah, I
Hmm.
believe so. I
Yep.
believe
Yeah.
so.
So they could
And
be probably easy directed down there towards California, I would think.
another thing, Nathan and I were at a David Strait event one time, and he talked about ships off the coast of California with huge fans. Now, I've never seen them. I have no idea if they're there, but these huge fans that can direct wind currents and make changes as well. He also said that what you were talking about too, that we have help right now, and he didn't say who the help was, but it was implied that it was help, um, off-world help. That's how I took it. It was off-world help. And I think that was a year or two ago when we were at that event. But yeah, they've got all kinds of
Well,
things they can use to change wind patterns and I don't know, I guess make it snow in Florida.
Yeah,
everything is used for warfare now. Everything. We've got to
everything.
the
Yeah.
age where literally everything, and a lot of people were oblivious to it. But yeah, the I saw a video where the California fires this time were started by a direct energy weapon.
Hmm.
And there's a if you imagine if you're watching a radar, you watch a radar on the news or whatever, this is the video, what it looks like, and it's infrared and it shows California, kind of like the background here, and it shows boom, 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 three little startups at the exact same time, north of LA, south of LA, I think southwest, southeast of LA. So I mean,
Yeah, Hollywood burnt, which
Yeah.
is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Maybe they
It's
were
definitely going to
trying to.
expose a lot there. Then they're going to have to answer for it. All that
Hmm.
stuff burning down. Imagine what's going to expose underneath those buildings, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, it might some of the evidence might go away, but some of the tunnels will be exposed for sure, right?
That's true, but I mean, it's all coming to light. It's like everything's being exposed. You got people resigning or getting fired, or running or leaving the country because they understand that this is what it is. It's going to the golden age. We've taken back control. Even Trump said that, light is shining all over the world, and this is the golden age, and that we are one under God and one family, and I love that whenever he said that, because I'm always calling everybody my family, that
Yeah.
we're one, and so that it's
Right.
showing all this is coming to fruition, everything, but we're not out of the woods yet. We got a good running start right now since he's got back into office, but there's still some bumps in the road that we're going to have to get over, because there's still minions out there on the field,
Yeah.
it's going to cause a little bit of problems. But because there's more of us than there is them, we'll be able to take care of it a lot faster. Since now that we're awake as well, because we're just not going to take that anymore. And, everybody's like, if you see something, say something. And I'm just really glad that my brothers and sisters are participating in that because of that, we've seen so much more and we've learned so much more and discovered so much more. So kudos, my brothers and sisters.
You,
That's
you, you
right.
know, Trump has talked about a year-long party, and
Mhm.
that party is from July 4th, 2025 to July 4th, 2026. And the other day on a show, Juan was talking about the block party in 2026, in July. So putting all the pieces together, this needs to be wrapped up in the next 6 months. So I mean, what did he sign? 400 executive orders
Mm.
in the
Yeah,
first
200 that I'm
two
aware of.
days.
Well,
Yeah,
It's
today,
probably more
yeah,
than that. Yeah.
I
as
heard it
of
was up to
today,
400 today. Yeah, so it's I think warp speed is warp speed was what the first 2017, that was warp speed. I
Mhm.
think we're going to go through warp speed again
Oh,
here
yeah.
in the next 6 months. We're just every day is going to be something new. So
Well, we're definitely getting a good start off because everything's happening a lot faster. Everything's being said what's going to be done. Now we're going to sit and watch it being done, and it's just only going to get faster and faster. I mean, even the medical for the technology of that, that's going to be coming out as well. And that is something that's really important to the people for, people who have cancer and stuff like that there. But it's not just that, it's just everything. The whole economic thing with the gas, the food, the energy, all of it's going to come down and help a lot of Americans, with the monies and put it back in their pocket. And he's also, talking are going to get rid of the IRS and do a ERS, you
yeah,
know, and therefore
yep,
people
how
aren't
it
going to
should
have to
be.
worry
That's
about the taxes anymore. I think that's fantastic. Other than I think it's like a 14% across the board that you'll
yes,
have to pay, but you don't
yeah,
have to pay taxes on old stuff. It's only on new items or luxury items
that's
that
right.
you'll have to pay taxes on, and that
yep,
includes housing and everything else. And now the housing market is also going to flip because they're also saying that Trump said that if it's a $400,000 house, they charged you an extra $100,000. It doesn't need to be there.
That's
yeah,
right.
So he's telling them to
and
bring it all down so that now people can afford to buy that. And then whenever they drop the interest rates in these banks, it's going to be easier for the average person to be able to go and get a home. Somebody that only makes, maybe $60,000 a year, they don't have to wait till they have $100,000 to do that anymore. Everything's going to change, and everybody has to go back to work, and they're trying to get people off of the food stamps and stuff like this here. If you're young and you are able, you should not be receiving food stamps and
exactly.
government help. And now
Yeah,
Trump's like, we're going to start all these training things that because people are like, well, I can't go back to school. I don't have that. Well, we're giving you training schools at jobs that's going to teach you these things. So now you have the opportunity to go in there and get a job. And better than that, is talking about daycare. So now they're going to be vetting people that's going to be daycare givers for these people who's getting the training to take these new jobs. But we are the ones that's going to make sure that those who's watching our children are like-minded like us, not somebody just perverted and they're just going to do something like that.
Yep, exactly.
So,
that's right.
mm,
Hey, quick question, Alisa. Before we get back into the backyard, because I'm really looking forward to that. Um, I listened to a book and I wanted to ask you about it last show and I forgot. It was called Stranger at the Pentagon, and it was Nathan knows what it is. It was Val Thor
Yeah,
at
Valiant
uh, at
Thor.
the at the Pentagon. Um, do you have any thoughts, or have you had any I guess experience with Val Thor or any of that stuff that happened back then?
no, I do know that he is part of the Galactic Federation, or at least that's the story that is being told that he is part of the Galactic Federation. But he is also a higher density being than we are. So I mean, he has a longer lifespan than we do.
Hmm.
Okay. And it's not just Val Thor, there's Thor Han. There's several different ones that's in that I have heard through the grapevines be mentioned, but I have not dealt with them personally. But I do know that these are people that, a couple of 100 years old, that's been around for quite a while, that has now got the opportunity to come in and give them their information. So um, I don't think. Well, because I heard about chips being put into people's heads from this
Hmm.
here particular Val Thor and Thorhan, my instinct and my gut tells me no. God didn't say anything to me about putting no chips in our heads.
That's right.
Okay. God
No
told me there were going
chips.
to be chips taken out of us, but nothing
Yeah.
being put into us. Okay. But that just might be, what they do. So I mean, because there is so many different versions of ETs out there, I'm sure they might just do things differently because there's not going to just be those that don't have any technological in them because there's races out there that are helping us that does have technological things in them. but they're
Right.
good guys. Okay, we're not talking about the Borg. We're talking about, races that are that advanced that they have these here kind of things. But it just depends on what they are doing in their, mm, I guess, their team, their group, or whatever it is. But for me, I don't resonate with that.
I always wondered about that because I think they said he was from Venus,
Mm.
and that seemed like it would be awful hot, closer to the sun, but
No, it's
who,
not. Remember,
it's
I told
not.
you the sun is cold fusion. So
Mm.
all the planets would have to be closer to that star in order to receive that warmth. Okay. The planets are hot fusion and fission, and the star is cold fusion. So they got the
Speaking of the
positive and the
planets,
negative. So
they're all lining up in what, 2 days?
Yes,
yeah,
they are
yes, they are.
What's
for a
everyone's
couple
take
days.
on that? I want to go out to the desert and be able to see that happen where it's dark because there's too many lights here where I live. But
Right.
yeah, I'd like to go out and see that.
That would be nice because I mean whenever the planets line up, it's kind of like the energy surges through them like on a line,
Mm.
okay? And everybody gets the benefits of it, and it's also a way for the planets to transfer information back and forth, okay? But it causes I don't want to say just a portal, but um, it brings in so much more energy because everybody's lined up, all the planets are lined up, and the information is received all at the same time, and it jolts down to, all the way down to Venus, or should I say to the star and back. So, but it's very, very interesting that this is happening at this time, which I also know that it's a benefit to all of us, you know. So I'm looking forward to that. You say we got 2 days left?
Yeah, it's supposed to happen, I think, on the 25th, so a
On
day
the
and a half.
25th. Yeah, that's right. On the 25th. So another interesting thing going on.
I
I
love
think
it.
it's going on right now, actually, according to this assistant on Google. It says it started on the 21st. I think it goes for 3 or 4 days, so we're in it right now.
Oh, we're in it right now. There you go.
Yeah,
I had heard it goes for like a month or so, but who knows? I'd have to look it up. I don't want to go out
yeah,
and see it. That would be awesome to see.
Absolutely. So
yeah, that would be fun. Would be
that
fun. I
would,
have too many trees here. I can't see it either. Too many trees and Wit River and hill over there. So
well, it's kind of dark here where I'm at because, I am in the country. But, without a telescope, that would be very helpful. But I can see the stars. And as you're looking at the moon, the ones that are closest around the moon are actually the planets. Okay. And whenever you start seeing them line up, you'll start noticing like a line, So just pay attention around the moon. You'll start seeing those start coming closer together. So either it should be on the right side of it, if I remember reading it correctly. So, but without a telescope, you're just going to see like little dots.
Yeah.
Uh, and much I did see the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn whenever they had that little show up there. So. That was interesting. So I'm like, it doesn't even look real. It didn't look real then. So,
Mhm. I was telling Nathan the show I was listening to the other day with Juan. He said our when we get through this process, he said our grandchildren will not only live on off-world on other planets, but they will live above the Earth, which I took to mean like anti-gravity cities in the
mhm.
sky,
Yeah.
and that
like
seems
the
pretty
Jetsons.
damn
Hmm.
quick. Yeah, like the Jetsons.
Yeah.
That seems pretty damn quick. Our grandchildren. So
Yeah. Well, I've
yeah,
seen that. I've seen the floating houses and the floating cities,
nice.
reminiscent to like the Avatar movie, except they have cities, on top of these here structures and stuff like this here, or
Mhm.
just not even no land underneath itself because the whole thing is a ship. If you realize it's a floating ship. And but yeah, it's absolutely amazing and the direction that we're going. And give me a little Jetson car, I'll be
Oh
I'll be all
yeah,
right.
100%.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, well, they've always said it's going to be a drip, drip, drip flood because we've been held back for so long. I think, Lisa, you were talking about this a little on the last episode, how things have been held from us for
Uh-huh.
a very long time. So, when it's time to, for disclosure, and once we get over that bump and then we move forward, it's like lightning fast because we got to catch up to where we're really supposed to be
Yes.
on the planet and where everybody has agreed to be, right?
Yeah, we're getting
Am
a
I right?
crash course. We're fixing to get into this crash course of everything that's getting us because we need to learn pretty quickly and adapt very quickly. Because the goal is, there is going to be a day that dome comes down, and we need to be ready, and that's the goal. And I know that God's going to, hold it for us because, we know we win, we know we succeed. But still, we're going to need time to get everybody on board and everybody adjusted and changed, so it's not something that's going to be overnight. Just like right now, look how long it's taken to get to where we are now. I would like to see
Yeah.
everything done by 2050, but that's just me. That's not God telling me that. He just tells me to be patient. So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, we all want it in our lifetime for sure, but
a lot of fascinating things are going to come in our lifetime, I mean, including these here med beds, not just the mechanical ones, but the quantum med beds. And then whenever those come into play, then that's going to almost pretty much give us immortality, because we can always regenerate, and therefore we can go and see the stars in different worlds and learn different things on a grand scale because we'll have time to do it. These races that already have these med beds, what? You have to sign a piece of paper and say you can only use it once, you know.
yeah.
you know. But no, it's because they do have the technology, therefore they can live very long lives. And they make the choice whenever they decide they don't want to be that person or being anymore. It becomes that spiritual.
Wow, that would be
Mhm.
amazing.
I would love
Yeah.
that opportunity because I've got FOMO, fear of missing out. Once I'm gone here, I'm like, there's so much fun stuff and so many good things happening that what am I going to miss out on when I'm gone? I'd love to have that kind of technology and be able to live that long.
Yeah, and eventually we will get to the point after using a med bed is like we'll only need to tune up every once in a blue moon because our bodies will be so tuned up right that we can actually heal ourselves if we just focus, you know. We won't need med beds anymore. But until we can get to that point where we control it ourselves, yeah, maybe once a year at a tune up kind of thing, or maybe every
Like your
five
car,
years, maybe every 5 or 10 years.
Going for a
Uh,
tune-up.
just like your car, yeah.
yeah, that's right.
Send your
Your
car in
car.
the shop or your spaceship probably then, and while it's doing its tune up, you go get yours.
That's right. And there'll be, a time where you can go in there and you modify yourself too. Like people get tattoos or whatever, there'll be a time where people can actually go and do something like that. You think about going to the future just because we're in the Jetsons, you don't think teenagers are going to do something?
Hmm.
I'm sure there'll be something, probably more respectful than like we have now, but it'd be something that they can modify, the hair color, eye color, or whatever, you know. It'd be pretty cool to be able to do something like that.
Oh, 100% for sure.
Mhm. Absolutely.
All
So
right, so what do you say we get into the backyard?
I think we've been held the audience for so long. They're like, what is this?
This is old friends catching up.
That's right. Well, a lot of people have heard me speak about my the backyard experience, and that was the first time that I got to meet the Tartarians, and that was Hanai and Kaylin. Okay, and I was standing at my sink washing dishes, and I'm looking out the window, and I see that there's this couple that's standing in my backyard, and the only way they could have got there is through the front or through the side, but they had to come through the front. And I'm like, who the hell are they, and what are they doing in my yard? So I'm in a little bit of a huff, and I go out the door, still is like, what are these people doing in my yard? They ain't got no business being there. And as I get closer to them, it's like a deja vu comes over me. I know these people, and so I went from being in a little bit of a huff, who the hell are you, to, wait a minute, I know these people. So, and the closer I got to them, I could feel this calmness and this love, and there I was like, okay, Okay, everything's cool because I'm not feeling scared or anything because I'm like, I know these people. So, and then they introduced themselves to me. And Hanai over in Tartaria, they don't have last names like we do. They come from houses. Okay, like Worf from the House of Moog. Um, but Hanai comes from the House of Onaka. So you can assume that he looks Oriental, okay, because he does. And I want to say that he's more of a I don't want to use the word purebred, but they don't mix their races like we have. Okay. That does happen. Okay. But it's not extreme like we have done. Okay. And Kaylin, she's from the House of Beline, which I think that's pretty cool. I like that one. I thought that was pretty cool. But they were designated to come and pick me up because that's part of their contract and part of what they were told what they needed to do, that they are part of my team. I'm part of their team. And they came to get me to take me to a mothership for a meeting. Okay. Now I'm feeling so good because the energy that they have is very welcoming. It's, oh, wow, this is really, really good. You don't feel scared or anything like this here. And um, Hanai turns around and it looks like he touches the air. And whenever he touches the air, a door opens up. So now I can see a room in there, a compartment in there in midair. So it can tells me that their shuttle is cloaked. Okay. So whenever we go into the compartment of it, it was very white. It's like an egg on the inside of it. There was no seams or anything like this here. There was no steering wheel, no computer board. Okay, nothing like that there. But there was a seat towards the front and then a U-shaped seat in the back. And that's where me and Kaylin sat down at. And she is telling me that she's preparing me to go up and meet up with my team. And it's going to help me understand on what is happening for me to be patient. So, and then Hanai just kind of like rubs his hand over the panel in front of him. There's nothing there. It's just like a panel. He just rubs his hand over the top of it, and he said, "We're going." And I don't feel no engine. There's no sound or anything like this here. But while I'm looking around, this reminded me of that little clip there in that movie Contact with Jodie Foster. That wherever I looked, I can see out. Okay, I thought that was pretty awesome. Even if you're looking down or up, it doesn't matter. Wherever you were looking, you can see out like a window. Okay, so I can see that we're going upwards. Okay, and I can see my yard. Okay, and then I can see my house, and of course, eventually the town and all this kind of good stuff. And I can see us getting higher and higher and higher. And I'm just, wow, I just can't believe this. This is pretty much amazing to me. And then Kaylin touches my shoulder. Touches my shoulder and she says, "Are you all right?" I said, "I've been waiting on this all my life." So I was like in this, and some saying that, and then I could see us getting higher and higher, and then I could start seeing, the United States. Okay, and of course there's water, and then the higher we got, um, I mean, we're going this way because I can see that, like, why is that there? I'm starting questioning things. I'm not sure what I'm looking at. But then I realize everything inside the dome is flat. That's why I can see that land over here and this land over here. Okay. I realize that it is true. The flat earthers were correct that inside the dome, it is a flat thing, but it's actually sunken down a little bit. Okay. That way, when they open up the waterways, there's your flood. Okay. All right.
Mhm.
But it is inset into the ground a little bit.
Like a
But I can
bowl,
see,
like New Orleans or something. You know how it's like
it's
down into a bowl kind of deal?
yeah, it's not like a total circle, but it's just indented into the ground.
Hmm.
Okay. And I guess that was that way they can control the water. It's the only thing that I can think of. But I mean, whenever the flood happens, all they did was open up the floodgates, and we're lower than that floodgate. Okay. So therefore, there's your flood. Okay. But I can see that it's flat, and I can also see that the continents aren't lined up or like they say that they are. So that was my first thing, that they've been lying to us of how the continents look and how they're set up. Okay, because it wasn't correct. From what I can remember, you can see I have a map behind me. But that's what was my first epiphany, is that I can see that we're flat in there. Okay, and I was like, okay, well, I didn't even realize there was a dome as of yet, but I could see everything is flat from the best of my ability because we are that high up. Okay, and you can see the lights and stuff like this here. And then I told, then Kaylee was asking me again, "Are you all right?" And I said, "Yes, okay, I am okay." And
No motion
so then
sickness.
I could see that we're turning because I'm looking out this way. And I could see that we're turning and we're doing it like we're going across it like this here. And then I could see that we're going upwards. And then as we're going upwards, it was pretty fast. We went upwards, and then I looked back, and then I could see that we were actually inside of something. Okay, it wasn't registering because I'd never seen this before. Okay, it wasn't registering, and but we went and we got to this mothership, which was beautiful, like two bowls on top of each other. Okay, it was a little bit of bulge towards the center of it, but for the most part, it was round and no seams, absolutely no seams. Okay, it's actually really smooth, very very advanced looking. And as we went up to the hangar door, it was like a force field. And as we went through that force field in this little shuttle that we were in, it scanned us, okay? And then whenever it sat down on, just think about it like an ironing board would come down like that out of a wall, an ironing board, well, the footing would come down and then the ship would land on it, okay? All right, and it's magnetized, okay, which is pretty cool. That way it ain't going nowhere. But anyway, whenever we came to a landing, I get out of this here little shuttle thing and I'm looking around and there's like tiers of ships. This is like a massive hangar that I have no words for. Okay, this was a massive hangar. They had large, small, and medium type ships in there, and they were all very advanced looking, but a lot of them, some of them were magnetized sideways on the wall. Okay, so
Hmm.
that told me that these things were magnetized. That's how they're holding this stuff there. And I'm just captivated by all of it. And Hanai and Kaylin is telling me to come on. And I have so many questions, because this is just fascinating to me. And we went down this very, very long corridor. And at the end of that corridor, I could see all kinds of people passing me. I didn't see anything that didn't look human, but I could see all kinds of people that were going and doing their thing. And at the end of that corridor, we took a right and we got onto this elevator. And when we got on this elevator, there was no sounds, none, except I could hear a light elevator type music. Okay. So, and at that time, I didn't think about it, but later on, I thought about it. Well, why are they listening to the elevator music all the time? But anyway, we go up and we get off this here elevator, and it's very smooth. I couldn't even tell we went anywhere. I mean, there was no inertia or nothing to make me feel like I was going up or down. Okay, it was just absolutely smooth and very quick too. And then whenever we got off of that elevator, there was another long corridor that they had me walking down. And as I'm going down, it's like really wide, like a hospital corridor. Okay, even wider than that. But as I'm going down it, I can see what looks like windows. Okay, so now I'm moving along a little bit quicker because I can see these massive windows. And whenever I went up to the window is whenever I got to see Gaia in all of her glory. Okay, the whole Gaia with this dome on her side, just like you see my little planet back there. She has this here dome on the side, on the top of her over here. And I'm not. I have no idea what to say or what, because it's not. I don't know what I'm looking at. Okay, because I've never seen anything like this here. But I'm ecstatic because I get to see Gaia from space, and I asked, "Is this Gaia?" And they told me, "Yes, this was Gaia." And I got emotional because I've never seen her. Ooh, I've
Mm,
never seen her from space.
yeah.
And then I wanted to know what the dome was. But whenever they were telling me that we are trapped inside of a dome and that all my brothers and sisters were trapped inside this dome with me, you don't, because the energy is so good, I couldn't get mad. I only got logical. How did it happen and how can we fix it?
That's
And what are
right.
we going to do about it?
Yeah.
And I'm very, very thankful for that because when I got back here, I was pretty pissed. Um,
Yeah.
but there I was very, very logical, and they told me that's why I was there, is for me to see this, to observe it, to witness it, and then to get the information on why, how it came about, and how we're going to fix it, and who is involved. Okay, and they wanted me to meet my crew, my team, should I say? We're a team, but they took me to my quarters and I said, I have quarters. I couldn't believe it. I mean, this feeling of energy is so wonderful that it's a very wondrous, curious, logical kind of feeling. It's the only way I can describe it. And it's very happy. You're very, let's go do whatever. I don't care. Kind of feeling. It's a really, really good energy. And they took me to another elevator, and this one here was also going upwards. And so when we got to the top of that, again, there was like several corridors, but we went down to the last one, which was like a very pretty much a straight shot. And it just looked like a hall. I couldn't see no doors or anything like this here. It just looked smooth. But they took me all the way to the end of it. To me, it looked like nothing's there, okay, except walls. And then Hanai told me to touch the door with my hand, okay. And whenever I touched the door with my hand, the door opened. So I'm like, okay, it's registered just for me and my DNA. He told me it only went by my DNA. So, and it also told me that's what happened whenever we came into the ship. They scanned me. They scanned my DNA,
Mm.
okay, which I thought was a pretty good, security thing, right? So now my the door to my quarters open up, and whenever I get in there, this is where I meet Onar and Corian, who are Palladians, okay, and John Mitchell, which is from Earth like me, and he's with ex-military, and then Daya, which is an assistant. And then later down the line, I ended up meeting another. He's half Andromedan, half Palladian, and his name is Erwin. He's actually taking part in some of the ships that are outside of the dome, watching everything. And since the eclipse and stuff, their ships were able to come inside. But there's a lot of different players on the field. But that's when I got to meet my team, and we are working together with the advanced technology, and that includes the quantum med beds. Okay, this is what I was told, that I am part of the quantum med bed facilities. Now, these facilities are going to be on islands outside of what we would call the first inner ice wall. Okay, and because they're going to be more in the Tartaria area, that's safety. Okay, so but these islands do not exist on a regular map. Okay, which I found very, very fascinating because they're showing me this stuff, and I'm like, I'm trying to consume all of it and remember all of it, and to my amazement, I've done a really, really good job. But there's 26 islands, okay, and there's 3 ships and 3 seas, and I do know that there's a medbed facility that's underneath the ground here in South Carolina. All states have them, everybody, not just South Carolina. All states have them, okay? Are very well and prepared for this whenever the main event for all of us to use these that is going to happen. But that was because I have the experience in building, they wanted me to go over there and set up these medbed facilities, and also there's like villas on the outside of them. Okay, and to me, if you just want to, be really sweet about it, you say it's a quantum medbed facility retreat. you know. But
Yeah.
we went there, and if anybody's familiar with the old series MASH,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and they had a mobile medical unit that they could move, all of that stuff. Well, that's
Right.
pretty much what this here was like to me. These med bed facilities were brought in, and they were set up like a mobile. They're mobile med bed units, okay, and they are made of glass, okay, and all the technologies in them, and we put them in the centers of these here islands. That way, we have the access to the villas and recreation and things for people outside of that. Okay, that makes them feel very comfortable. But the way that they put these things together is just like putting these things that you just stick together. You don't need cranes and stuff. The technology that they have, is like a shoehorn, and then whenever you squeeze the center of it, it causes things to levitate. Okay, you just
Mhm.
point at it. There you go. And then you put this stuff together, and they have a wonderful crew, and this stuff goes up really fast. Okay, very, very quickly. And it was the villas that took a little bit longer, and that's where I came in. Okay, because I do know how to build things, and they asked me how I wanted it done and stuff like this here. Well, lucky for them, I already had a diagram of what I wanted to use, and that was pretty interesting. And then I got to see the technology that went along with that. Think about 2 boards. Whenever they come together, you have to use nails or screws, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Well, they have this little thing that you can use that changes the molecular structure of that joint and makes it one piece.
Huh.
So you don't need nails, and a lot of it went together really easy because it seals itself together. I was very, very impressed with all of this. But the villas look just like a regular villa, except it's minus the nails and the screws and stuff like that there. Okay, it has a toilet in it, it has a tub in it, it has a shower in it. Okay, because those things are still normal to a lot of people. Okay, the villas do not have replicators in them. They're designated just to the facility and the restaurant. There's actually a restaurant there on all of the islands. They have a restaurant on each one of them, and you can get food out of there. But any of your meats come out of the replicator. But everything else is grown. All the vegetables and stuff like this here, those are grown. But this is going to come in handy for our brothers and sisters who still eat meat. It's not a crime to eat meat, my brothers and sisters. You're good. But those who want to not be causing any more harm to these animal brothers and sisters, they can use replicators, okay? And it's a great way to get off of eating the regular animals out here that we have, okay, for humanitarian reasons, okay? But nobody's going to be judged for wanting to still eat meat, okay? I've tasted these meats that's come out of these replicators. I've had a steak, and my God, that was really wonderful because the steaks that we have now taste like they chemical or have metals in them or whatever. So to me,
Yeah.
it was really, really wonderful. And I've had seafood out of the replicator, and that was really good too. I have no complaints on that. But we can get seafood out of the oceans that surrounds us, which I'm really, really pleased on that too. This, for all intents and purposes, this would be like a quantum medbed facility retreat. And it has recreation. It has a restaurant. It has everything that you need. Once you go in there, you don't need no bags. They have everything that you could possibly need there for you. They will provide you with food. They will provide you with clothing. Everything is absolutely free. Okay, and the turnover is anywhere between 5 to 7 days, a little bit longer if you're growing a limb or something like that there. But for the most part, it's 5 to 7 days. You're not just going to go to this place and within a minute, 20 minutes, or whatever, you're going to jump in this sucker. No, you get there, you get the layout of the land, you get comfortable, then you go to your counseling. You have to be counseled and vetted. Not really vetted, but counseling because they want to find out, just like somebody's evaluating you before surgery.
Hmm.
Okay. And once they do that, then you're set up for your med bed appointment. And the med bed goes in 3 stages. Okay. Now, if you have a family and you have children, your children will go before you. That way, your children aren't shocked when you come out at a different age or looking younger. Okay. And the same thing with your animals. You go first so that you can handle it if your animal is not going to stay.
Mm.
Okay. They thought about all of this stuff. Okay. Because you don't want to scare the crap out of your children. Okay. They ain't going to know who you are, right? But if you let them go in there first, then you can come out looking younger or whatever, and it's okay. It's all cool. Okay. Because there is families that's going to be coming to this thing too. A couple of Brady bunches. So, and you got to think about it. So you have to feed these people, entertain these people, keep these people occupied, right? And so that their whole trip is wonderful. You want to welcome them there, show them their love. You're there to help, no judging. We're here to help you fix everything. And once they get out of the med beds, because it takes you back to your original blueprint, you'll know what you're supposed to do. You'll remember why you came. Okay, so then you leave from that point and you go take care of that. But while you're there, mostly because there's going to be families and stuff like that, you want them to have some kind of entertainment, something to do. Okay, so we do have all kinds of different things on these islands, and that includes spas, masseuses, spiritual yoga, stuff like this here. We actually have live entertainment. Okay, you can go fishing, you can go boating, different things, just like you would, just like you would on a vacation, because they want people to feel that comfortable and relaxed and not scared or fearful, because it's going to make it better for whenever you go in to get this done. You're very relaxed, and that's what you need to be, is very, very relaxed.
I kind of was just under the impression that they'd emptied out some hospital rooms and they'll pop a couple of these med beds in each of those rooms and you just line up at the hospital to get your services done that way. Is
There will
that
be something like that. Yes, there will be something like that. They're done at the hospitals as well. But these particular ones, this is for the only way that I can explain it to you is that all of those that came in here from 5, 6D, 7D, and 8D, something like this here, those top ones, they call them the way showers, the leaders. Okay, the ones, the geniuses, all these ones that's going to make all this stuff come into play into this entire realm, okay? The ones that God sent here with all of these different gifts, talents, and abilities within us
Yeah.
to make this happen. That's what these here quantum medbed facilities on these islands are for. We need to get our guys, get them woke up now, go do your thing. Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay. And then they will wake up more and they will wake up more and they will, or it'll be a trickle effect of everything. Okay. But whenever the RV happens, we're going to need these scientists, architects, and engineers and landscapers and everything else, drillers and welders and everything else. But you're going to need those people who are going to be at the top of it. And then you can hire below that, but you need those top people and those foremen to get this stuff going. And then you hire the regular people around you who need these jobs. You educate them, you lift their spirits, you get their energy higher, and then poof, then they get to go into these med beds. You see? It all works very beautifully the way God has shown me. But the ones that get designated to these particular quantum med beds first will be those geniuses that came down here and send these bodies. So they're going to make sure that we get all of it set up. So and I think that's fantastic. I really do. And that I get to be a part of seeing that and helping with that. And that's amazing to me. So.
That sounds like an amazing experience. I want to go right now.
Yes. I mean, but
Yeah.
there's 3 stages to the med bed. Okay, and whenever you first get in there, you got to think about your chakras. Okay, they're like little balls on top of each other. But think of them all being out of whack. They get lined up and they get tuned up. Okay, and once you do that, then you go to the second stage that takes all kinds of toxins and any mental trauma that you have out of your body, any metals and toxins and any mental trauma that you have. So now you're really prepped for the third stage, and the third stage is where it regenerates your body, even if you have metal in it. Now, they do leave the metal there. Let's just say you have a fake knee. They leave it there, and it gets rid of it as it fills it in because it's holding the shape of it.
Hmm.
Okay. So it goes right along with it at the same time. It's going away and growing at the same time. So it's very, 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 very fascinating. But the if you need arms or anything kind of damaged like that there, it does take a little bit longer. But there's also people that's never seen, so that we have councils and stuff like this here after the fact. Our children that's never seen or walked or heard or talked, things like this here, or people who were handicapped. Okay, we have facilities there that can help these people with that too as they're progressing forwards. Because think about a child that's never seen or a child that's never heard, something like that, or
Hmm.
never had legs or arms or mangled,
Yeah.
that you do need to have the parent and the counsel there that's going to help you go along with that. That's why it can be anywhere between a 5 to 7 day turnover normal, and then a bit longer than that, the more severe it may be. So,
Wow. Well, it looks like we have about 5 or 6 minutes left. If you want to talk about anything specific,
well, that was my backyard experience. I got to discover all this stuff, my brothers and sisters. So that was my
that's
backyard.
amazing. Hey,
Yeah.
just hook me up with stage one of that process and I'll be good. I don't
Well,
need to be
here,
greedy. Just let me get to one or two of those stages and
well, I do know that God told me that, that He's making sure that I talk to everybody that I need to talk to. So, and I think that's very wonderful because I have talked to so many people and I would hate to think that I only spoke to them once and I'd never see them again.
yeah,
So I do know that God works in mysterious ways, and He's let me know that all these people that I have spoken to and come across, they all have the loving heart like I do, that they really want to help, and that's what matters. We really want to help everybody. It's not just about ourselves, it's about helping the whole, you know.
yeah. By helping others, we help ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly.
Hey, so I have a question. So the dome, how did they get through it, or how did they traverse in and out of it? Is it like I picture like a force field, not like a solid dome.
Right, it's a
Um,
force field, yes.
okay, so they can traverse back and forth through it.
They couldn't for the longest of time whenever it was first put up. It was pretty much impenetrable. And but later down the line, you had these here portals that you can go through to get in and out, and that was only like the top dogs and stuff like here. But they were closed down whenever that was abused. So everything was pretty much, it was sanitized, not sanitized. It was just locked in place. So there ain't nobody coming in or out. Okay,
Mhm.
and it stayed that way until the Greys showed up. Now the Greys has got some technology now. They're very advanced. They are part of the Archons, okay, which is a very the most advanced AI race that I
Mhm.
can think of. I mean, they,
Mhm.
man, they make the Borg look like nothing. So, but they control the Greys, and because they have this advanced technology, they were able to come in and through these portals. And I don't mean to laugh about this, but the Anunnaki who started all this crap, who were the controllers and the hunter, well, the hunter became the hunted. And the Greys and the Dracos did just that. Now you're our bitches. We don't care who you are. We're controlling all of this. So then they were controlling the Anunnakis, the hybrids, all the way down the chain here. Okay. So, but they were the only ones that actually had a capability of getting through one portal. And look how much damage they have done through that one portal.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, at more advanced races, they can project themselves inside the dome. Okay. But now they can come in and out. It's pretty much easy now because everything is under control. But yeah, there was a time where nobody could get in or out, and then the Greys showed up. So
You talk about projection. I wonder if that's what happened in Florida. Remember when the Florida incident happened like 4 months ago, where they opened a portal and supposedly there was 20-foot tall aliens or something weird happened.
Oh, in
50 police
Miami.
cars in
Yeah.
Miami.
Yeah.
yeah, in the mall thing,
Yes.
yeah, I
Yeah,
do
the
believe
mall.
that something like that did occur. I've heard the jokes that the Grey punched in the wrong number.
Yeah, I heard that too. The latitude and longitude number, they got it backwards or
And
something.
they got it backwards or something.
Supposed to go
But
to
yeah, I
Antarctica.
mean, it's easier to do now because of the simple fact that it's under it's open. It's the only way I can say it. The frequency, you can go through it if you choose to. Ships can pop in and out of it with no problems now, especially with the energy being higher and more positive. Because you got to think about, even a dude that works in a hazardous place, he can't go down into the nuclear core because it's how dangerous. He'll die.
Right.
Well, that's how it was with us. That energy was so bad here that they could not come in here without it causing themselves harm. So they would have to
Mm.
do it from a distance. But now everybody's on board. Everybody's good energy. It's beautiful, bright, white light shining all over the world, like Trump said. So we are in the golden age. So
So can you go under the dome, dig through the ground, and then come out? Because if the dome is only over the part that we are on Gaia, which is
hmm
100 times bigger than what they tell us, and
uh,
we're domed in that little thing, is that what some of this underground stuff is? Can you go underground the dome and pop out the other side?
Yeah. Well, you have to think about it. It is a circle, okay? It is a circle, but
Okay.
we're little less or deeper than the center of that circle because we're unsynced in it. We're indented into it,
Okay.
okay? But that's where it cuts off into the oceans. You come across that wall, it's because it actually does go all the way down. Okay, they wanted to make damn sure nobody could get in or out of this sucker. Okay, they wanted to make very sure they couldn't get out. But I mean,
Prison
I don't
planet,
mean to giggle
man.
about it, but I do see the technology and think that they have stuff like that. And it's not just here on Earth. They've done the same dome stuff on Venus and on Mars and on asteroids and other places as well. We just happen to be the ultimate one of the commerce, the commodity that we are.
Very violent universe.
Yeah, but not anymore. It's
Yeah.
all better. Let's stay
Yeah.
positive. Don't put no juju
That's
on
right. No. No, no.
it.
We are going on the upside now.
Huh. Yes.
It's funny you talk about digging under the dome. That reminds me of a movie from the 80s, either the 80s or the 90s, the Highlander series.
Yes. Yeah.
And
hmm
I think it was either part two or part three where he um, helped put a red sky dome over the planet to protect them from the sun. That was
Yeah, that was the third one.
that was the third one. And
Yeah.
then um, I believe in that one they didn't need they went through a tunnel or they went through a mountain or something to get outside of it.
hmm
And the planet had fixed itself, and then they didn't need the dome anymore. So the dome came down. Probably more disclosure. We just didn't know what we were
Yeah,
talking about or looking or
exactly.
watching at that point in time.
hmm
Yeah.
So just opening that sucker back up, I mean, you have to have everything correct inside here so it balances with what's out there. Just like the waters between us and the center circle where the Tartarians are, and then out there where the giants are. I mean,
Hmm.
that's massive fish out there. That's feeding giants, so
Yeah.
you got to think about it. It fits to its environment, just like our fishes fit to our environment. So,
Wow.
I'd love to go explore that. And there's people that have taken sailboats down there, and there's a certain parallel or degree they get to, and the military literally cuts them off and sends them back in the other direction.
oh
So
yeah.
if something's going on, I would love to go and visit that, and maybe we can get in the med bed and go visit some other
Well,
places,
I do know
Nathan.
there's going to be a lot of people that's going to be going to see in all these different places. There's going to be a lot of people that's going to be going to Tartaria, you know.
Hmm.
But you can't go there unless you are brought there or invited there, okay?
Yeah.
Because it's still going to be kind of an adjustment for us to make because they are way more advanced than us. But they're like not the Wizard of Oz, but the Crystal City. You
Yeah.
know, they're the Crystal City that we will eventually, get to partake of. And there's a lot of us is in disguise that's supposed to go there. That's where they're supposed to go be. So and there's an island out there that does have dragons on it and stuff like this here. I mean, it's a continent. It's not an island, and it has dragons and all the mythical creatures that we have heard about. These things really do exist, and that is
Hmm.
their safe haven. And unless you are part of that, you cannot go. I mean, that they do have secured areas that you will not allow to go to if you're not supposed to be there. So I'm pretty sure that's with any kind of people. They're going to have their borders. So, and it's all about invitation because it's all about your DNA. So, and it's like I said, it's a safe haven. So when people talk about dragons, them things are real. They were real in the past and they're real now. They just happen to have that one continent that belongs to them. So it's like you
Sign
see
me
in the movie Jurassic Park, there's an island.
Mhm.
It's got this stuff on it. So
sign me up. I'm ready to go.
yeah. Imagine the things that we're going to be able to see. You think about the white alabaster um, granite that was used on the pyramids. That white alabaster granite they have that over there, and they do have crystal buildings. That's what I'm saying. It looks like a crystal city. A lot of it does. It's absolutely
Hmm.
advanced and it's really, really beautiful. Um, and they grow a lot of their own foods. Unless it's a meat, then they can get that out of a replicator. You know. But they make their own wines and they make their own champagne. And I was surprised. Like, why do y'all have wines and champagne? I said, yes, we have celebrations too, except theirs aren't poison like ours. Okay, and you don't buy it out of a liquor store or anything like this here. It's solely for celebrations. Okay,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
solely for group or massive celebrations. So, so I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah.
Well, we celebrate you coming on the platform here tonight. It was a lot of fun. I think we've run in over 2 hours now, I think, or close to it. So
Yeah.
is uh is there anything else that you guys want to talk about
Yeah.
before we
Part
shut the show down?
part
Yeah.
three.
Always,
Part
yeah.
three.
Yeah.
Yeah, that way we can talk about, seeing all of these executive orders actually taking place and happening in real time. So I'm looking
Yeah,
forward
let's do
to
that.
it. Yeah, and just everything is just building up to, a phenomenal thing. And as far as like the RV, the currency reset, I know my brothers and sisters, we always hear it's next week, next month, tomorrow, somebody there. But I do know that it is upon us. Nobody knows the
Hmm.
exact date except for they do. But I do know that it's here and it's going to happen. And we've already seen the beginning of these miracles, so don't give up on that miracle, okay? So,
Yes, ma'am. All right. Well, thank you for coming on, Lisa and Echo. Thank you for having me over there too. And
yeah.
I guess that's an episode. So you guys have a good night, and everybody out there have a good day or night wherever you are. And for my audience, it's been another episode of All Aware, and you are all aware.
Thanks, Nathan. Thanks, Lisa. Love you guys.